afternoon, or good morning, or late morning. Um, I'd like to welcome you to my very first Stitch with Me. My name is Tammy, and this is SoFly's Unique Boutique. This is what we're going to work on today for a little bit. This is Plum Street Sampler's Short Snort Stack, which is one of my favorites. So this is what we're going to try to work on, and I did try to do this yesterday, but I was extremely unsuccessful. For some reason I could not, no matter how hard I tried, get this to download. So I did a different one yesterday, so hopefully I'll be able to get this one done a little bit better today. Let's hope. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this pig here. So, to find the color, flatfish. Alright. So these are the colors that I'm using. They're mostly Classic Colorworks, a few Weeks Dyeworks, so on and so forth. When I do these when I kit up these things, a lot of the times I will go for the fancier stuff. It's not always. This one I just happened to do at the time was to get the fancier stuff. Lately I haven't been doing that. I've just been using DMC because DMC is a little bit easier for me to get. If I run out of something, I can go to like Hobby Lobby and grab some more, or I can get on 123 Stitch and do it that way. It depends on the way that I'm doing it. I'm a little nervous about this. I don't know why. It's just a Stitch with Me. Maybe it's just because it's the first one, and you're about to see a bunch of mistakes, probably. Yeah, that would be my guess. I can't find my needle sweater. Well, I thought I brought one in here. I probably did, but it probably fell on the floor somewhere. But I can go find another one. I got plenty of them. Okay. I'll be right back. Okay, it was right where I left it. Now, I'm going to try not to show off the pattern, but I'm not guaranteeing anything here. I don't do this in a conventional way, as you can see, but do try. This, I believe, is on a 16 count. Beige, probably like a cafe latte, French cafe latte, mocha kind of. Fabric. It's written in my book, so I'm not all entirely sure. Oh, shoot. Well, I was watching a video this morning on how to do the single strand loops, or I've got to try it. I know this isn't single strand, but they also showed how you could do it with 2 strands when you don't use a loop. Now, if I'm using DMC, I will fold 1 strand in half and do the loop start that way. But since when you're using the fancier flosses, you do 1 stitch at a time, so you get that variegation. At this point, I use 2 strands. So, yesterday when I did this, I decided that it might be a good idea for me when I have a hard time trying to figure out what to say, is to discuss books, because I read a lot. And I'm not a big, I don't read mysteries or anything like that. Unfortunately, I am a hardcore romance junkie. I love my smut. I just absolutely love my smut, and it's usually what I read. Where I have a Kindle, I have a lot of, I do the Kindle challenges that they have, and I'm constantly winning, not really winning, but accomplishing goals that, like you have this many days of a reading streak, keep it up. So I do things like that. They are definitely something that I enjoy. I was doing the Goodreads challenges, but sometimes they didn't always, recognize the books that you are reading, even though you can get, if you have the Goodreads app, you can, they can be, you can find them on Amazon and take it from there. But the Amazon are just as easy, and a lot of times they'll have a really good series. Like there was one that they had that I read a few months back. It was, I can't remember. I want to say it was about, not really Chicago, but somewhere in the Midwest. They kind of sort of had a mob thing going on. I like that kind of thing, to be totally honest with you. Um, but my all-time favorite, you know, are the Motorcycle Club. Not necessarily the one percenters, even though I have read some books about the one percenters, but um, they have quite a few that are retired military that are still looking for that, brotherhood kind of thing. Um, I kind of enjoy that type of thing because they're also what they call insta love. Like they know exactly as soon as they see the girl, that's their girl, no matter what. Um, do I believe in that kind of thing? Sometimes. Oops. Started down one, two. Ooh, shoot. Ugh. And now I'm gonna frog this out. Ugh. This makes me very happy. Um. I hope I'll be able to save that. That would be nice. Sorry, didn't mean to move you. But yeah, it's just one of those things, that we all have different tastes. Like, there's a lot of people that are all for um, like the Fourth Wing, the dragons. I'm not much of a sci-fi person, unfortunately. I have read, the Vampire Shifter, that type of thing. Um, Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes, well, eh. So, I guess it just depends on what your tastes are. Like I said, I'm more of the, like, one of the ones I just finished this week, actually. Um, the main guy in it, his name was Scar. That was his road name. And he went through some crap. He was part of a Delta Force kind of thing, and they ended up getting. Basically, what it boils down to is he refused to talk, and he was tortured, and so was his team. Everybody in his team died. Either one actually committed suicide, the other ones all died while, being tortured and not talking. So, needless to say, um, he was, uh, he had a scar that went from his forehead down to his chin. He had ropes that were tied around his neck so tight that they left impressions. So on and so forth. He was very tortured, and it didn't help that he was a tortured soul. Also, he wouldn't talk. He couldn't talk. Well, he could, but he just I think where he was so quiet for so long that he just forgot how to you know, use those muscles. When you don't talk. But yeah, it was just certain things like that, things that happened to him, and then he ended up getting rescued. And while he was in the hospital, somebody came to talk to him about working in a security company, and that he could get, the guys who, the terrorists who got, who tortured his team and killed his team, he found out that he could make things right and get rid of the people who did that to him and his team. So he signed a contract for 5 years, and he only worked 2 out of the 5. And then a friend of his who was in the motorcycle club found him, and he convinced him to come join with him, or come join. And Scar decided, okay, well, why not? Well, he found himself a family, and then some things happened, and he left. Because there were certain things that needed to be done, and he didn't want to, he didn't want the club to get, caught up in it. So he figured he'd just take care of the problem himself. So he left, and then he was saving somebody, one of the old lady girlfriend people, and he ended up getting shot, and the guy who owned the security company found him, nursed him back to health, and then was going to use him, or try to sell him as a weapon. Yeah, that was not cool. So, Scar was able to escape, and he found out that the Alpha, as they called him, the head guy, had a daughter, and her name was Tallulah. So he thought, I'd just get some pictures and send them to the Alpha and say, I know where your daughter is, blah, 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 stay with my family, blah, blah, blah. Well, he ended up falling for her. And, the funny thing about the whole situation was that Tallulah was born with no eyes. And so she would use fake eyeballs. But she could defend herself, and she could fight and stuff a bit. And she knew when Scar was around, even though nobody believed her. So, he followed her around for quite a while, and they got to know each other. Even though he couldn't talk, she talked for him. And her father came and took Scar away, and she found out about the motorcycle club, and she found out as much as she could about Scar, and so on and so forth. And then they got him, they helped him escape from the place he was being held, and they caught up with her father, and needless to say, her father came to a very not so nice end, and that was thanks to Scar and Tallulah. Don't ask me what the name of the book series is, because I can't pronounce it. It's something in Latin. But, very good. Very good series. A lot of the things that these things start off with is always, like, someone's in trouble, or, you know, there's a crooked something or other. Like the first one was about a sheriff whose daughter ended up falling for one of the members, because his son, technically it was his brother, but his son was, his mother did drugs when she was pregnant with this little boy, and needless to say, he ended up having some mental deficiencies due to that. And so in the back of the book, every time one of the books ends, the author puts the what is it? The Down syndrome website, or ways to help people with Down syndrome, which I think is a good thing. Sometimes they have, like, in the very back page of the book, the authors will put, like, suicide hotline numbers, or places you can get in touch with people who have mental health issues. And in the beginnings of the books, they always put that if you have a trigger that, you know, like if this or this or this trigger, you don't need this book. Which I think is rather helpful. I, on the other hand, don't seem to have any of those triggers, so I read away. You know, yeah, there are sometimes some of these will affect me in certain ways, especially when you have verbal abuse. That tends to get to me. Just because I, you know, grew up being verbally abused myself. So that has a tendency to bother me, but when I see people of power beating up other people, or especially getting beaten up if you're a woman, that has a tendency to bother me just a little bit, and I try to skim over those parts quickly. But other than that, I don't come across that very often. There was one I was reading quite a few years ago. Don't ask me. I have no idea what the name of the series was, but it had something to do with a motorcycle club and the women who got involved with them. No, actually, it was about the women. Somebody was murdering these women. They couldn't figure out how. So, and I've mentioned before that I'm not a big fan of snakes. So, yeah. Come to find out, it was this guy who grew up, I want to say, it's not necessarily a cult, but it is enough to, you know, be considered one. Because a lot of things happen because people twist religion. Well, this guy grew up with a dad who was a Bible thumper preacher who thought that, you know, and used snakes and things in his sermons, poisonous snakes. So, I don't know what these women did to this guy, but whatever he did, he decided to break into their apartments, leave a deadly snake in the apartment, and the snake would bite them and they'd die. How the snake got out, I have no idea. All I know is it scared the bejesus out of me. And I stopped reading the series after that. I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Um, like I said, I don't like, I'd never make it, down south. I really wouldn't. I would just never make it because this gators and snakes and creepies and crawlies and they bother me more than you know. So, but yeah. So there are just certain things in life. Ugh. I can always remember watching, Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, right? And he'd be in front of the snake that would spit poison at you, and you'd have to wear sunglasses or else it would get into your eyes or whatever. And one of the words he used was gorgeous. That is not my idea of pretty. Then again, that is me. So, oh, I seem to be having a lot of issues with this thread right now. So I think I'm going to finish this line, and we're going to end this, my first little stitch with me here. And next time, I'll try next week possibly, and see about doing something different. So I didn't get very many stitches, but I will fix my mistake. But this is what it looks like right now. Hopefully the next time you see this, I'll have the pig almost completed, which would be nice. And we will take things from there. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like, please subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you have any ways I can improve, because I'd really like, for people to voice their opinions on whether or not I should improve things. It's very helpful. So I will see everybody on Friday, and have a nice afternoon, everybody. Bye.